Hey folks, Dude here. Coming to you again on another occasion of a Dude After Dark. And this iteration is going to be, hopefully, things freaking working. There was one iteration that was the previous iteration that I currently had lined up, and hopefully things were going to be working correctly. But I hit the wrong button and things went, well, straight to, yeah, not so well. Not so well at all. It could be said it went kind of pretty much just, yeah, it went straight to caca. Okay. So it can be said before we invoke something that could cause problems with the higher powers, let's not do that. Okay. Let's really not do that. Anyway, so looking at things as it is, we have a couple people in the room. Martina Sasquatch, appreciate you coming on by. Patriot Fever coming on by. And well, let's not go straight to Kabul, but holy cow, oh my stars and garters. And this is going to require caffeine. Yep, this is going to require caffeine. Could be an adult beverage, but not right now. I think I'm simply just going to stick with the good old caffeinated, carbonated beverage and go from there. So just give me 1 second here. But oh, my stars and garters, it is going to be, well, I do have some libations, but haven't quite gotten into it yet. I do have a little itty-bitty bottle of the Aviation Gin. I'm probably going to make an itty-bitty, well, not itty-bitty, but I'll make a martini with this stuff, give it a test taste, and see what it's like. Ryan Reynolds brew. Supposedly it's really good shiznit. Haven't tried it yet. Not a huge Bombay Sapphire, but unless I'm mixing it up with something, yeah, it's perfectly fine. Other than that, I tend to go with maybe, basic gin, okay? Gilby's or like one of those guys, or, nothing too trailery crazy. But anyway, Donna Rosie, appreciate you coming in the room. We've got people hanging out with me tonight. Good stuff like that there. And kind of like that situation where you're kind of going and going, I'm going to tell your mom. Well, in this case, it kind of really is, I'm going to tell your mom. This is coming from patriotjournal.com. And this is just hilarious. But supposedly Fox host sends Jill Biden, read like Joe Caca's wife. There's a guy by the name of Duffy. He accuses the first lady of letting her, quote, mentally frail husband, end quote, run for office. Now, it's been well stated. If anybody is going to know you on the planet, there's really nobody that knows you better than, well, your wife. She's with you constantly. She's going to be there for, when goods and times and bad times happen. And, she'll know you completely in, out, up, down, and all the way sideways.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
I don't know about that one, but anyway, so the situation with her is everybody in the marital situation knows there's really not too terrible much that you slide past the wife, okay? I mean, that's just, you're living with each other, you rub off each other constantly. They know how you run. So this article is written by Ben Dutka, D-U-T-K-A, August 24th, and we're looking at this article from, like I said, Patriot Journal, and it says essentially this. Ever since the Afghanistan ordeal broke, President Joe Biden's capabilities once again have been called into question. Republicans and other right-wing politicos in Capitol Hill are calling for his resignation. Others say he's simply not fit to be commander-in-chief. I've been asking a lot of people that get in the back of my car going, so, have you been suffering any buyer's remorse with the current administration? And that's about as much as I'll ever say. And they're like, well, did you vote for Trump? And I'll say, you know what? I'm essentially a libertarian. I did vote, but that of which I whom and shall vote remains between me, the almighty, and that button, whatever, that I'm pushing to put that person in office. Those are the only three entities that are going to know how I voted, unless I'm charitably sharing it with somebody. But essentially what I tell those people is, yeah, I voted, but I'm not going to say which way I voted because I just don't talk about that. So essentially, it's now come out to play that there's a lot of people really having buyer's remorse, and they're really not happy with the way that, well, things are turning out with the infamous Yeah, because Mr. He's kind of having a hard go of it because, well, there's a lot of stuff that's just not quite working upstairs. And, you should be having thought patterns stridently going from, one ear to the other or just becoming fluidly, one thought to the next. And you could be simply saying that those things would just be coming into play. Okay, the thoughts marching proudly through your head. Thanks, sound guy. Sometimes he just goes on tangents. It's like the dog in traffic, and I really don't know which way he's going next. Dude, stop going to the deeper library. Okay, so anyway, Fox News host Rachel Campos Duffy, oh, I love hyphenated last names, first suggested that Afghanistan might be an impeachable offense, and Biden was definitely, quote unquote, incompetent. Okay, well, this is nothing new under the sun. Okay, if you guys look at Joe, I got this one, sound guy. If you look at Joe, if you look at his history, he went into the office in which he held for a long ass time in Delaware, but he started out in 1973 at the age of 29. Okay. What was his first claim to fame as being a senator? Well, he basically was on the wrong side of the aisle because he said, those Vietnamese, Thor's hammer, those Vietnamese need to get basically everything they're going to get. We need to get out of Dodge. So he sided with the Viet Cong. He sided with the fact that the fall of Saigon was a foregone conclusion. However, if you know your history of Vietnam, and the history of Vietnam is as such as this. The Vietnam War was a losing entity for the Viet Cong. And you can look them up in any way, shape, or form. They were on the ropes. Literally, they were on the ropes. The Vietnamese were basically about ready to just fall over, and the war would have been a foregone conclusion. And it's been well stated and quoted from their generals going, all they needed to do was wait a couple more days, and we would have lost the war completely, totally, absolutely. All the fighting entities, all their fighting forces, all their elite groups of guys who were badasses, and trust me, the Vietnamese were not an easy gang of group, or whatever you wish to call them, people to fight face on, and of course all their guerrilla tactics and all the rest of that fun stuff. The Vietnam War was a horrendous entity of which to pursue. However, everybody I've ever talked to said, oh yeah, we waxed their asses. Oh yeah, by the time we got done, there wasn't much left of their fighting forces. Oh yeah, by the time we were done, everything was pretty much just kind of circling the drain, and all they had to do was surrender. Joe Kaka, however, put it in such a place and in such a realm of possibilities that it made it possible for the Viet Cong to win the unlosable war of Vietnam. Now, that was his first reign of terror in the office of which he held in public office, was to completely screw us, get us out early, and lose the war in the process. That was 1974, folks. If you look up the history of the Vietnamese and the Vietnam War and all the rest of that fun stuff, the pull out of Saigon when you had the helicopters landing, yeah, that looks not too terribly unfamiliar from what we're currently experiencing right now in Afghanistan. He is a known entity doing those things over and again because that's all that's left up there is that old programming from time immemorial. Let me look back at the room here real quick. Don Rosie, somebody tell Joe he's grounded. Maybe he'll stop signing executive orders. Oh, I'm in trouble with mom. Oh, yeah. Anybody here end up accidentally finding Purple Dragon in the bed? Oh, I don't even know about that one, dude. We can always take his pen. Well, that's true too. Martina Sasquatch, did you get into the special eye drops again, Rosie? Purple haze, man. Purple haze. Yeah. Wait. So, but in this case, there are people around Biden who are responsible. This includes the First Lady. Campos Duffy tore into Joe Biden saying, quote, she shouldn't have let the mentally frail, end quote, mentally frail husband run for office. She added the media certainly helped put Joe to office, but that's not the whole story. Via the Daily Wire. Oh, man, this is being a quote from a tweet, somebody else. Okay, but anyway, Rachel Duffrey. When you look at what's hurting America, when you look at this lack of leadership and you wonder who are the people responsible for putting somebody this incompetent, frankly, this, mentally frail in this position, I can't help but look at Jill Biden. Well, you know what? Let's do a hyphenated thing right now, okay? This is going to be very simple and very easy. We're talking about Jill Biden, okay? So she's now hyphenated, okay? So that's simple. Jill Biden. Or would it be Kaka Biden? Oh, I'm going to have to think about that one. Well, anyway, she's part of the problem of reason why we got this mental defective now running things. And the pictures that you're seeing all the time now and all the videos you're seeing now, remember when I said don't take him out of office? Leave him in there. Burn that to the very soul of this nation. What happens when you basically do the wrong thing with jacking with the election process, and of course you're voting for the wrong guy, and oh yeah, you guys are now suffering buyer's remorse. Elections have consequences. That's our phrase for today, children. Elections of consequences. So anyway, they're now saying that she is also partly responsible. Ouch. I don't know if you guys saw this or not. You'll have to look for it a little bit on Twitter, but there is a new Trump ad called the Surrenderer in Chief. My word. I cannot begin to tell you what kind of production team that, Donald Trump has. They're good. They're really good. Let's see. There's also now some scuttlebutt going around, like, Lindsey Graham-nesty. Okay, let me be perfectly, completely, and absolutely honest. Lindsey Graham, don't trust him. I just don't trust him. He's a rhino of the highest order, and there'll be some time where he needs to be on one side of the aisle. He'll be on the other side of the aisle, making friends, kissing butt, and all the rest of that fun stuff. But potentially sometimes, even a stop clock is right twice a day. There's like I said in the post that I put on Facebook, Rutrow Joe Kaka might have a problem when a rhino. I had a couple choice words for grander, but when a rhino like Graham wants to invoke this, Joe has a major issue. And now Lindsey Graham is invoking and talking about impeachment charges. Now, here's the thing. They impeached Trump twice. It didn't go anywhere. Now, here's the thing. If you look at the way that the impeachment process works, essentially, when the Congress brings the charges and they're charging him and they're saying, you did this, you're guilty of mopery with intent to creep on a steamboat landing while underneath a divining moon and the alternative year of blah, blah, blah. So essentially they're saying we find you to be charged with this crime. So they're the prosecutor, okay? It goes to the Senate. The Senate is the jury. And both times the Senate said, stop throwing this crap at us because we're not going to find him guilty. Go away. So the Democrats, in all their infinite wisdom, were doing this thing called, the preponderance of guilt, the severity of the charge. Well, the preponderance of guilt, the severity of the charge, doesn't mean jack squat in a courtroom until the jury says, yeah, you are guilty. So both times it was asserting that you were doing something you shouldn't have been doing, mopery with intent to creep on a steamboat landing. But until you're found to be on the dock doing that thing and they actually take you to court and you actually go to jail for doing those things, you haven't really done those things. You're simply just charged with those things. So an impeachment really isn't really truly worth the paper it's written on until it actually proceeds further and gets the judgment. Now, with Bill Clampett Clinton, he was looking down the barrel of the gun, which is why he pretty much was deal making and, apologizing and all the rest of that fun stuff. He almost got his ass tossed on the street. Now, in terms of what they tried to do to Donald Trump, it was merely just trying to, knock him down, make him look as bad as possible. That's like the classic Democrat thing. It's like, if we can't get you out of office, we'll simply throw enough mud on you so that you look bad. Now, the thing about it is if they keep throwing impeachments at Joe Kaka, does it really get him out of office? No. But, if the Senate truly is a split Senate and they can't actually render judgment, he's not removed from office. So the charges really, truly don't mean anything. It's just simply you being charged with something, you being charged with something, you being charged with something. Until you're actually charged with something and you're found guilty of something, you can be arrested a bazillion times. And until you actually go to court and you're found guilty, doesn't mean jack squat. If you get like 50 million parking tickets, well, that means you got 50 million parking tickets. You better pay them because that's civil. That's not criminal. And of course, that's not something else along the lines of which you can be charged and found guilty of. It's actually just a civil thing. Patriot Fever Room says Trump definitely has the material to use now. That's for sure. Yes, he really, truly does. And the media trying now to play both sides to save their credibility is nothing short of just, fake, farcical, completely easy to see through. It's bad juju when the media goes, "This is our guy. This is our guy. This is our guy." And they're like, "Oh yeah, well this is our guy." But can we take the clapping away now? No, you guys still are guilty. You're completely culpable. Your credibility's in shreds. That's why CNN, you really don't have the viewership because you're no longer the Hate Trump network, and you really truly don't put anything on there worthy of watching. Yeah, I mean, I do think it's actually funny. I remember reading this article years ago where CNN actually, you go to the airport, you cannot escape the CNN on all the televisions, okay? Every single television in there is tuned to CNN. And the messed up thing about it is CNN pays the airports to air, quote unquote, air their television broadcasts. They pay the airports to have them on the TVs. Now, I've heard of some pranksters thought it was funny to get a hold of one of those, universal remote things where you basically have it on your keychain and you just keep clicking it. And eventually it hits the right code and it tells the television to turn off. And I've heard of people going through an airport and they literally turn off every single television that has CNN on it just to be jerks and just to be funny because, well, CNN is just really not entertainment. It's nothing but 24/7 of, oh my, the world sucks. And you should just, basically bury it in your head and understand. And we'll tell you why everything's so much more horrible than the day before. And it could be said that truly this, CNN is not anything worthy of which to watch. MSNBC is just like a lockstep behind them with that. But anyway, when you have somebody like Lindsey Grahamnesty going on now about, unloading articles of impeachments, and that was not like, we're just going to do it once. I think he was saying he was going to keep trying to do it. So that's not going to work out so good for Mr. Kaka in the long run. Scroll. I don't know if you guys heard about this one or not, but supposedly Pennsylvania is going to start a forensic audit of the 2020 election. Now, this is state number 3 or 5. I forget which one it is, but there's a bunch of states that are now doing the forensic stuff, and they're saying all the Dominion voting machine responses, a lot of them were not up to snuff. And also you see the bar graph, of course, where you have the progression and of course Trump's leading, then all of a sudden at like a certain time of day, it just takes this massive uptick. That's physically impossible. And then of course you look at the sheer number of votes that took place. Those numbers aren't, exactly square either. So it's a long drawn out affair now where pretty much what I think is going to happen is I think it's going to be found out to be that, somebody played chicanery and F-word uckery. And I don't think it's going to be something that goes again. And I don't think they're going to be able to be successful trying that again because it's just going to be too blatantly obvious that they're cooking the books and they're playing games. But Pennsylvania is now going, yeah, we better look at these numbers because something seems sketch. And anytime you invoke a reasonable doubt into something, that's when things really start looking more interesting for, down the road. Is this going to happen again? Is this going to be a situation where you have those people who did it previously and are the Asian provocateurs, shall we say, and you see them as potentially those guys who may be doing these things. And you can say, okay, well, in a situation like this, if this guy's doing X, Y, Z, we have to be doubly careful. And of course, there's all this, really sketch information out. Like, they had secondary modems, which should never, ever be in a voting machine. A voting machine should be simply a distinct entity with no outside contact to cook the books or somebody else to tweak the knobs and dials behind the scenes. All the rest of that stuff should be locked in place. personally, I am a firm believer in pen and paper. I'm a very, very firm believer in pen and paper. It's really hard to fake a piece of paper that has you writing something on there and it's locked in as a photograph saying you checked all these blocks and you didn't check these other blocks. Let's see. Scroll. Now, this is one that's kind of one of those half-truth things, but it is kind of interesting. Supposedly, there was a partial recall, but the meme that I posted was just like blatantly just stating, like it was just everything. And what it was is there was a Pfizer recall done on the drug called Chantix. Chantix is essentially an anti-smoking medication, and I think it also has some airs in terms of, psychotropic stuff. But essentially there was a run of that stuff that went out the door, and it had excessive amounts of a chemical on board, which is a cancer-causing agent. Now, in the process of making some medications, and this is the dirty little secret, sometimes making medications, they use solvents and they use other things to get stuff into play that is cancer-causing. In the process of the final form, however, they remove the cancer-causing agents and make it safe for application in the patients to be utilizing. Unfortunately, one batch proceeded to go through, and they didn't remove the cancer-causing agents, and it was going out the door. However, it was, basically recalled. However, the FDA and all their infinite wisdom was saying, oh, this stuff is so perfectly safe and this, that, and the other thing. But it got yanked, and, that was after many, many years of approval. So there's been many times where, the FDA has approved something and they're like, oh, yeah, it's perfectly safe and efficacious for the utilization in human beings, blah, 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 blah. The maker says it's going to do X, Y, Z. It'll be the sun, the moon, the stars up above, and everything's going to be great. And, all that's holy will be far, just fabulous. Okay. So, you basically can throw this stuff at anybody and it's going to be a grand time in the city. There's been a lot of times, though, they've approved stuff and it's been found out that the stuff is really not that good. Also, the other thing, too, is also this peer review thing that really, truly should be happening doesn't happen. It's just usually, the person, corporation, entity, whatever it is that makes this stuff essentially says, oh, yeah, it's safe. We did a 10-year study. Here's our paperwork. And the FDA goes, okay, and they rubber stamp it because obviously somebody in their upper echelon probably, went to some dinner party with the, the drug guys making this stuff, and somebody's rubbing somebody else's back and all the rest of that fun stuff. This one kind of struck me as humorous. It was a gathering in the Kent County Board of Commissioners, and it was a rally against the mask mandate. Well, obviously you could probably see everybody on, the board side, they're all wearing the masks and everything. In the audience, there was not a single mask to be seen. And everybody was like, dude, we're tired of this crap. So it is like, the pushback is occurring in some occasions. And, of course, I now have people like making comments and they're going, well, the masks do help. And it's like, dude, you're putting a Band-Aid on a hemorrhage, okay? Also the other thing, too, is also there's a lot of information coming out now. And I'll get into it. There's other news stories I have going down, coming down the pipe. And it's getting interesting. I did find this also extremely interesting, also going into a COVID aspect thing, but this one kind of crossing over into the religiosity side of things. And I really, truly have a major problem with the position that the Catholic Church is taking. And this is from a Wisconsin area Catholic parish. And the Catholic leaders were to issue new guidance for those looking to be exempt from vaccines for religious reasons. Well, if that was the case, I would switch religions immediately and tell the Catholic Church, if you're not for me, you're against me. So this is coming from Green Bay, Wisconsin. And I'm finding this on NBC15.com. So basically an NBC affiliate. Written by the WBAY news staff, published on August 22. It's a list of companies mandating employees get COVID-19 vaccine grows. So does the number of people claiming religious exemption. No squat. Now, Wisconsin Catholic leaders are issuing new guidance over religious exemptions as it requires a legal balancing act. On Friday, Wisconsin's Catholic bishops issued a statement encouraging vaccines as well as the right to request exemption for reasons of religion or conscience. Now, here's where it gets juicy, folks. That was kind of really ambiguous there. Quote, pastors should not feel compelled to issue documentation recognizing the conscientious objection and are recommended not to do so. So they're giving them an out. Just give me 1 second here. Employers are legally allowed to ask if an employee's concerns about the vaccine are due to safety, effectiveness, or political beliefs, or even the company's authority to require the shot and those not considered religious beliefs. So a company can deny an exception. Quote, and then they expect the process to work together to identify if this is a belief that can be protected under the law. If so, there are accommodations that might be available in the workplace, said Sarah Platt, a labor law attorney. If you are denied, your employer could create accommodation, such as wearing a mask in the workplace or getting tested weekly. Well, if you're paying for the test, guess what? You're testing me weekly because I'm not wearing a blanket mask. And, of course, there's this long, drawn-out thing here where, the Wisconsin Catholic bishop statement on COVID-19 vaccine and protection and conscience, 8/20/2021, and it's this long, just kind of almost business-looking letter with, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bishops archbishop, bishop. So basically, it's the micro pope and three of his captains all signing on. Not impressed. Or 4 of his captains all signing on. I'm really not that impressed by the Catholic Church in this regard, simply because they're trying to play it both ways and they're going political. I can tell you for a fact, there's a lot of times when the Catholic does stuff and they try to play politics. They really, truly should just shut their mouths and go, okay, we need to pray on this. Yes, that's probably what they really, truly need to do. Get a red. Appreciate you coming on by, dude. No, get a red. I'm not taking that one out of the room, but that's cute. Let's see. Scroll. Facebook. I have the meme back up again, but I had to do some mods to it. But it's a campaign patch. You see the guys, and they basically get the campaign patches on their military uniforms, and it's an eagle with crossed swords. Really, really ornate. Looks correct. Looks like a really correct military battalion seal or campaign seal. And it says Operation Charlie Foxtrot, of which you probably know the correct word because that is Enduring Cluster Foxtrot. Enduring Cluster Foxtrot. That's about as good as I could put that. But anyway, so Facebook and Infinite Wisdom was like, hey, we don't like the way that makes our guy look. And they pulled it. So me and my Infinite Wisdom, I modded the picture, changed the background to something almost like eye-bleedingly, it's very, it's eye-grabbing for the background that I put behind it. And I modded out the U and put in a very faint drawn-in U. So far, it's been up. And there's been a lot of people that like it. It's gotten a lot of shares. And I guess it's flying. So it's one of those memes that really... I put it up there. Facebook says no. I tweak it just enough, and they're like, our algorithm doesn't recognize this anymore. No, it doesn't. Yeah, I've been having fun with them in that regard. A little bit of a technical thing here. I have been rocking I got the old one, and I got the new one. But this one being the new one. Get that out of there. This one being, of course, the new one. My classic, Note 9. Very, very infamously, just very, very handy. Hang on a second here. Okay, that thing's being annoying. Anyway, the Note 9 has been one of my just best purchases ever. In terms of working with this thing, it's a fairly large screen. I mean, it's not a full-on tablet, but it qualifies as phablet. It's basically a fairly large screen unit. It still fits in your pocket. Hang on a second, let me find it real quick here. I do still have my classic old school belt clip and what have you. So I can throw it on my belt. And when I was working the Oticon, what I literally did was I had this thing with the square card reader in the headphone jack. Don't try that with a modern phone, because most modern phones don't have headphone jacks. You need some kind of adapter, or you need to jerk around or find some other way to make the thing work. And sometimes it's not compatible technology. But Samsung, in all their infinite wisdom, tried it once or twice, and now they're on the third iteration. And they're now to the fold phone. So literally what it is if you look at this phone on its outside, it's maybe a little bit less. I've got the reflection thing going on there. Maybe it's just a little bit less wide than this phone because it's got kind of a fat hinge. But it basically is like, I can cheat this real quick. I actually can cheat this real quick. Let me make sure to try this real fast on camera here. Okay, so basically you have the fold phone, and it closes up to basically have kind of like a wedge. There's like a really thick hinge area. And then when you open it up, you basically have a big screen. Now, of course, this is two phones, but literally the real estate that they're showing pretty much is roughly about the size of two of my Note 9s, side by side for screen width. So they're really, really hyping the fact that they got a working fold phone that will hold up to some amount of use and abuse. Now, the technology on it is, I would say it's still not quite ready for prime time. And, the guy did a video. There's a guy named Mr. Moto on YouTube. I'm not affiliated with it whatsoever. I like some of his videos, though. But he did a video where he's going on about this fold phone is like, the cat's pajamas. It's this, it's that. It's so cool and everything. It's amazing and what have you. But the technology on it is as such. It is a soft screen that allows it to fold. So what it is, it's a laminate of a fairly soft plastic, a layer of glass, a very, very thin display, which is a flexible display. I don't know if it's like LED or AMOLED or whatever that one is, but it's a flexible screen that allows it to bend to a certain amount of, not 90 degrees, or not completely flat on itself, but with a gentle curve, it can do a number of bends or what have you, and the screen won't break. However, the plastic layer is fragile. Now the thing about it is that's really cool about the Notes, and I dearly, 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 truly do enjoy this about mine, is it has a built-in stylus on board. Obviously you then can write on it. You can do all the fun stuff that you need to do. I love this function right off the bat. It's for quick notes. I don't even have to unlock the thing, and I can write on the screen. And literally real time, you see me writing on this thing. So the stylus is the stylus. And also on the stylus, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but there is a button. So I can do, it doesn't hold a lot of a charge, but there's actually a capacitor in here in lieu of a battery. So what happens is when you put it in the phone, there is a charger that runs that capacitor up. So if you have the phone out and you're trying to do remote pictures or something, you actually can take pictures by clicking the pen a certain distance away. I don't think it's real far on this model. Later ones actually had quite a bit of range. But the actual pen can work as a remote shutter, besides also working as a stylus and all the rest of that fun stuff, and all the rest of that good stuff. So let me just erase this real fast. I want to look at this. So anyway, the nice thing though is all this technology is kind of cool. So that's something that's already been established. However, that's a glass screen. That can take quite a bit of banging around. Plus, I do have a cover on it. You see the circle here, and that's actually a transmission area for a reader. Now, I don't actually use the reader per se, and there wouldn't be any opportunity for me to need such an item. But the thing about it is it's there if I do need to lock my phone, and of course unlock it with But I don't use that technology. Okay. The nice thing, though, is I have a built-in stylus at all times, and it can do what I need it to do with a minimal amount of problems. As a matter of fact, it's actually kind of cool. They actually have a pair of tweezers. You can actually pull out the point and change the hardness on the point to give it different writing styles and different writing feels. Now, is it stuff that I would actually ever use? No, because I pulled it right out as a used phone, and I've been using the same point, and it's been perfectly fine for everything that I need to do. In fact, I really rarely use the stylus, but it's around. And sometimes when you're doing like messages and it's being like really weird with the autocomplete, sometimes you really truly need to hit like the keyboard correctly. So that's when this thing really comes into play. Now, the nice thing about it is also it's a glass screen, so it's not breaking easy. This flex thing, though, the guy is actually able to put like grooves in it with his fingernails. Okay, so it's really not quite there yet. The stylus that they actually have for the Flex, and I think it's a Flex 3 now, it's spring loaded. So you actually push on it and the point gives. And the technology on it is such as that it's trying to preserve the screen as much as possible. I mean, you can actually really bear down and the point gives before it actually digs into the plastic. However, it does still get the classic groove down the middle from folds. So the technology is not quite there yet, even though, you pretty much have something that opens up to like a mini tablet and you can pretty much use that wherever you wish to and all the rest of that fun stuff like that there. I mean, if you want to get down and dirty, I mean, I know tablets. Tablet technology, it's not like it's not hard won, okay? I mean, I actually truly do know tablet technology. I mean, I actually do rock one of my own. I mean, this one, of course, being a Samsung S2 9.7 inch. So basically Samsung's version of almost like an iPad. Nice thing is, of course, I do have a Bluetooth keyboard with a little trackpad. So all that stuff coming into play, I almost have a baby laptop. Almost. Of course, bigger screen. I've used this thing before on flights, watching movies and stuff. And you want to talk about like just sheer portability? I mean, you're talking something that's about the size of like like a hardback novel, and you pretty much have a laptop. You're not carrying around something that weighs 7 or 8 pounds. This weighs about 2.5, 3 pounds. Obviously, it's about 3/4 of an inch thick, and it's about 10 inches by about 9 inches, whatever it is. But it's absolutely portable. And oh, yeah, it doesn't fold down the middle. Oh, scary thought. But in terms of what it is, it's also like, twice, if not 3 times the size of the screen area. Oh, yeah, well, this thing's so great because it's a folding phone. I don't care if a phone folds, okay? And, the technology really, truly is not just quite, not even just not quite there yet. It is just not there yet. So, yeah, maybe 5 or 6 years down the road, things will progress to the point where you basically have a screen that's maybe not completely just indestructible, but at least it's able to hold up and do those things that you need it to do without looking weird. I mean, if nothing else, the aesthetics on it is such where if you're looking at a screen with a groove down the middle, you get it off a little bit, or you start looking at something, or you get like a reflection over your shoulder, it's gonna be kind of like one of those nuanced, annoying things that really just ain't there yet. I mean, case in point. I mean, the funniest damn thing too is I was looking at like the warnings on this. And it's like pressing the screen and front camera lens with hard or sharp objects such as a pen or fingernail may cause damage such as scratches or dents. Only the Samsung S Pen Pro or S Pen Fold Edition, other S Pens or styluses may cause damage to the main screen. So you need to have the device unit with it. Now stand by for that one. I'm not quite done yet. When you fold the phone, make sure there's nothing such as cards, keys, coins, or an S Pen inside when you close it up like a book. The phone is water resistant, but immersion in any liquid other than fresh water, such as salt water or alcohol, can damage your phone. Don't put your phone in booze, okay? Don't remove the protective film in the main screen or apply unapproved films or stickers, as doing so can damage your screen. So basically, you got protection on there, and you're saying, it needs more protection. Yeah, your phone contains magnets. Keep it away from credit cards, implantable medical devices, and other devices that may be affected by magnets. Yeah. Now, there's something else about that stylus thing, too. I can carry a stylus internally in my phone all the time. This wonder phone that they have that's like, all fold up and all cool and everything doesn't even have a parking place for a stylus. You need to get a specific special case that clicks onto it that then gives you a little outside holster for the stylus. Dude, I'm thinking that this is just so much more, just so much more. And this is 2 generations removed from the newest, bestest stuff. The S20 and S21 lost the headphone jack. Notice I got multiple plugs there. Yeah, I got multiple plugs. That's a headphone jack. That's a USB-C. That's a speaker. That's a stylus. Oh, but the newest bestest is all the rest of this. Dude, no, you're not there yet, okay? Put a ding in it or something. Anyway, but it's been running and gunning reliably as a work unit and as an all the way around daily use device. And the other thing too is also the battery life. Yeah, it might have a little bit bigger battery in that thing. I've run this phone 2 days easy with reserve left over. I've run it as a hotspot before, and it really hasn't tanked the battery. Of course, I tanked my gigabytes, doing that, but I didn't really run the phone down that much. It's been a fairly solid unit. And yes, I know it's 2 generations removed, but you know what? I like having a wired headphone jack because I don't like having Bluetooth frying my brain. Let's see. I don't know if you guys saw this one or not, but this is a sad occasion. The mighty falls so far. I don't know if this is part of the Me Too thing or what, but I've spoken with friends about this behind the scenes. We're all of the simple standard statement of why did you wait so long? Just give me a second. Now, supposedly all these occurrences happen in California, and the statute of limitations, I believe, is 10 years. Some of these instances are talking about are in excess of 30 years. That's right. We're talking about the one and only. We're talking about the Hedgehog, also known as Ron Jeremy, adult film star, infamously the Hedgehog, who was indicted on rape and other sexual assault charges. This is coming from, it makes me feel dirty to say this, but this is coming from CNN. Porn star Ron Jeremy has been indicted on more than 30 counts of sexual assault involving 21 women over the past 2 decades. Well, in extent of looking at the laws, that would mean that anybody more than 10 years more, 10 years, yeah, you can stick them with it, but 10 years and more? How are you charging him with something past the statute of limitations? The Los Angeles County District Attorney Office announced Wednesday, Jeremy, whose legal last name is Hyatt, is accused of sexually assaulting the women over a 23-year span between 1996 and 2019. According to the Attorney General's office, the victims range in age from 15 to 51. Okay, now, if you want to really go after him for like an age thing, yeah, I can see that happening. Because if you're having statutory rape on somebody, yes, that's completely, not cool. But, if you basically have somebody more than 10 years beyond the statute of limitations, why are you charging him with it? Anyway, so Jeremy pleaded not guilty to 12 counts of forcible rape, 7 counts of forcible oral copulation, and 6 counts of sexual battery by restraint, 4 counts of sexual penetration by a foreign object, 2 counts of sexual penetration of an unconscious or asleep person, and 1 count of each of lewd acts upon a child under the age of 14 or 15, sodomy by use of force, and assault with the intent to commit rape, the Attorney General's office said. I think they're throwing everything that they possibly can at the fan and hoping something sticks. And it sucks. It really, truly sucks. Stephen Allers, appreciate you coming by, dude. Let's see. Okay, here's a study coming out of Israel. I don't know if you guys saw this one or not, but supposedly, this is a study coming out of Israel. The Delta variant natural immunity is 700% greater protection than the jab. Data from the Israeli government shows. So, the shot from AstraZeneca, Moderna, Pfizer, and BioNTech, it's not quite as good. So, here it is from Daniel Horowitz from The Blaze. Everything the public health, quote-unquote, experts said about the shortcomings of infection-reduced immunity actually appears to hold true for vaccines. If you speak to any man on the street, they'll tell you, based on every censored article they read online, the vaccines are stronger than infection in terms of immunity. New data from Israel, the epicenter of mass vaccine hysteria, demonstrates just the opposite. Israel's Channel 13 reports very preliminary data showing the resurgence of COVID infections in Israel being driven almost exclusively by those who never had prior infection, whether they were vaccinated or not. In fact, 40% of the 7,700 new cases since May 1 in this very heavily tested and traced country were among those who were fully vaccinated. Oops. Israel National News reports the data was presented to the Israel Health Ministry and yielded the following breakdown of breakthrough infections of those vaccinated versus those with prior infection. With a total of 835,792 Israelis known to have recovered from the virus, the 72 instances of reinfection amounts to 0.0086% of people who are already infected with COVID. By contrast, Israelis who are vaccinated were 6.72 times more likely to get infected after the shot than after natural infection, with over 3,000 of the 5,193,499, or 0.0578% of the Israelis who are vaccinated getting infected in the latest wave. With over 6% of the respective populations now fully vaccinated, Israel and the UK are perfect case studies demonstrating that vaccines are not playing the predominant role in slowing down the virus spread. If you compare all the European countries by recent cases per million to vaccination rates, you'll find zero correlation. In fact, Eastern European countries with low vaccination rates seem to have fewer cases. Interesting. But this article is coming from newsrescue.com, and I got to say sometimes that website looks a little sketch. So I really truly need a second source and work it through. But you know what? Of any country on the planet, knowing what their population is doing, the Israelis are seriously on top of the stream of things, how stuff is working, sociologically, how their country is functioning. They are very, very finger on the pulse of how their country is working. By design, they need to know these things because there's 6 million of them surrounded by a whole bunch of people that really aren't too happy about them. You guys heard, of course, there was, the new ammo and weapon ban going on from Joe Kaka, not allowing Russian stuff to be imported any longer. Well, let's just say that the Russian ammo and weapon ban really might not be that big of a thing. First off, Russian ammunition really truly only accounts for like 4% of U.S. ammo sales yearly, at best. Now, the other thing, too, is also, we're going to get these AKs and other stuff. Dude, it is not hard to make an AK. The biggest thing going on with AKs is when you get the surplus weapons parts kits. That's when things get interesting, because then you have the stuff that build the stuff without having to make it all, machine it all. And, of course, Russian technology being what it is, it's built to be tough because Russians build stuff tough. That's pretty much it. It's just, they know the AKs backwards and forwards. They're going to make them right. That's just all there is to it. Anyway, so the ammo sourcing that's now going to be taking its place, well, I would contend you would probably want to talk to maybe a guy or a bunch of guys or, hell, a whole country of guys known as SAR USA. I read Sierra Alpha Romeo USA. And you go, what the hell is SAR USA? Well, they're the exclusive importers of Sarsimlax. Sarsimlax is an armory that's been in operation since 1880. And where's it at? It's in Turkey. So the Turks are happy to make plenty of ammo to take care of the shortfall that we're not going to be getting from the Russians. and they're now going to start importing it with a amazing amount of, sure, we could do this. Yeah. So they also produce arms for NATO and many other militaries worldwide. They're known good stuff, and they're going to start importing scads of ammo. Read like they're 9. Their 9 mil looks like 9 mil. There's nothing really crazy about it. But, they're now going to be offering premium ammunition to the U.S. market. So good times on that one. So the shortfall of Wolf and Tula and Red Army and all the rest of that, that steel case stuff. If these guys are bringing in decent brass ammo, I'm thinking that's like reloadable, or even if it's Berdan Prime brass ammo is easier to recycle. Well, steel ammo is too, but most people really just would rather have ammo that they can reload. So if SAR Simlax is making ammunition that is reloadable, even better. Scroll. I don't know if you guys heard about this or not, but how do I say this without saying this? This one's gonna be, this one's gonna be hard. Okay, supposedly, the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. Yeah, supposedly it was won by the first openly gay man. Yeah, he was sucking those hot dogs down. He was sucking those hot dogs down. But he won the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. Other people have said he had a distinct advantage from previous experience or training, but yeah, he won. Oh, he won. Let me scroll. Scroll. This one's kind of interesting. The Kiwis are now looking at their own situation. So you have New Zealand. It's not a huge country. I mean, actually, let me do a really stupid quick check here, but I actually should know this stuff. But unfortunately, I don't know it off the top of my head. So I gotta cheat numbers, okay? Population in New Zealand is only 4.9 million. That was in 2019. So 4.9 million people. It's not a big place, but it's actually a pretty good amount of people in a small area. Well, anyway, so they're now dealing, of course, with their own version of COVID and all the rest of that fun stuff. But they recently just had their very, 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 very first death associated to the COVID vaccine from Pfizer. Oh, man. Look at the room. CLU, dude. Appreciate you coming by, dude. Do I think Biden will make it through his term? And if not, who or what do you think will happen? Well, I think they're going to prop him up. They're going to keep giving him whatever yum juice they can give him to keep whatever faculties ticking along there. And he's going to be in there for a while because they know Horizontal Harris is just hated. Like, she is even lower in score than when she was previously running in the presidential primaries. And she was like absolutely dead. She's just hated, man. People do not like her at all. CLU says Izmash and Saiga has Russian AK-47 factory in Pennsylvania for the past 8 years or so. Well, that's cool, dude. So if you have U.S. spec stuff being made here, that'd be kick-ass. He also says there's a factory in Florida. All right, so maybe we'll be less affected. But I can tell you for a fact, man, there was like a renaissance. I want to say like maybe about 10, 12 years ago. There was a major renaissance where a whole bunch of AK stuff was coming over. And of course, it was that 922 compliant crap where you need to put in X amount of American parts to make the AK, not fully automatic or not in the situation where you're bringing in, something that is 100% import parts. Or, it was really kind of stupid the way that they were doing it. But it was kind of funny because some of the people were like, "Oh, okay, I'll put American parts in." So they would put like an American stock screw into it, or American floor plate, or like an American trigger, or like an American selector. And the thing that was hilarious was the parts were actually stamped USA, so you knew it was a quote. I'm doing that air quote thing. A 922 compliant part. Logan Ray, appreciate you coming by, dude. So anyway, the COVID vaccine from Pfizer has gotten its first victim in New Zealand. So the Kiwis are now probably a little bit pissed off. And the New Zealand officials are reporting the country's first death linked to the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine on Monday. This is coming in 1 day ago, on the TuckerCarlson.com. In release, the Ministry of Health wrote, quote, to ensure the healthcare professionals and consumers remain vigilant and are aware of the signs of myocarditis and pericarditis, end quote, after the death of a woman following her Comirnaty Pfizer coronavirus vaccination. According to the ministry, the COVID-19 Vaccine Independent Safety Monitoring Board, oh, wow, what is that mouthful? The CVISMB considered the woman's death was due to myocarditis, a rare side effect of the Pfizer's vaccine. Now, that's the other thing, too, is always, you got to look for these stories. And this is something you're going to find on your own. If you look for these stories and you start reading through, and they're like, this, that, and the other thing, COVID-19 death, this, that, and the other thing, seems, and it's always like the quote-unquote, seems, this seems to be a rare occasion of a side effect, or this seems to be an unusually occurring side effect, or this seems to be they always tag that seems and rare. They always keep expressing how rare it is for somebody to be a victim of the vaccine rather than a victim of some ailment caused by the vaccine. I'm just trying to figure out something with a 0.5% mortality rate, why they need to stick something in people that kills them to a higher number than, well, probably the virus they're trying to avoid. Yeah. Anyway, so the Mayo Clinic describes the condition as an inflammation of the heart muscle. That doesn't sound good, folks. I already had mine wrenched on, like a year and a half ago, and it's not getting fun. Symptoms of myocarditis include new onset chest pain. Well, that would be heart associated. Hello. An abnormal heartbeat and shortness of breath. Okay, that would involve like your heart going, dude, what are you doing to me? I'm not working as efficiently as previously, and I'm letting you know. Anyone who experiences these symptoms in the first few days after receiving the vaccine is instructed to promptly seek medical attention. Okay, now how many people are warning these people, hey, if you get the jab, look out for this, that, and the other thing. If you're a victim of blah, 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 it might be associated with the vaccine that you receive. Be sure to contact your healthcare professionals if you have XYZ. Is this stuff getting out there? Or is just merely just afterthoughts and playing catch up? Good question. The CVISMB, I love that mouthful there. And that was actually the COVID-19 Vaccine Independent Safety Monitoring Board. Whew, what a mouthful. The CVISMB considered that the myocarditis was probably due to vaccination. Yeah, probably, because she didn't have anything else going on. The CVISMB noted that there were other medical issues occurring at the same time, which may have influenced the outcome following vaccination. Further details cannot be released while the coroner investigates. This is the first case in the country where the death of the days following COVID-19 vaccine has been linked to the Pfizer vaccine, although the Center for Adverse Reaction Monitoring, CARM, has received other reports of deaths of individuals who have been recently vaccinated. Notice how unspecific and disassociated they became in an entire sentence. In those cases, none of the deaths reported were considered to be related to COVID-19 vaccination. Thor's hammer. What else did they do recently that involves sticking something new in their body? These people really are pushing it. All cases with fatal outcome. Oh, Fatal outcome. Translation, you basically got the jab and you died. Fatal outcome. All cases with fatal outcome are referred to the CVISMB for review. CARM provides as much information on the case as possible for the clinical experts on the CVISMB to help them in their consideration on whether there was a link to the vaccination, the ministry said. Thor's hammer. What else got stuck in their body recently? They're really pushing it. In July, the New Zealand New Zealand Medicines and Medical Device Safety Authority, or MedSafe, there's another one, issued a safety alert on myocarditis to raise awareness of the recently identified side effect, and the CVISMB reports that the circumstances surrounding the woman's death are consistent with what is known about the side effect about the Pfizer vaccine. Okay, you probably could say, here's a guy, he's playing around in the zoo. Oh, he falls in the tank with all the bears. The bears are like, hey, there's something new to play with. You don't say the fall killed him. You say the bears killed him. Because obviously, if dude is running around, the bears are chasing him, he didn't die from the fall. Stop saying it's the virus if it's the vaccine. However, the Director General of Health, Ashley Bloomfield, insisted that the risk of suffering myocarditis from the vaccine was still a lot lower than getting it after being infected with COVID-19. Okay, I haven't heard any correlation between COVID-19 and myocarditis. So let's just do a real quick check here. You know, myocarditis associated with COVID-19. So let's just do a real quick check here. Let's see. Let's see if I can't cheat this real fast. So myocarditis from COVID-19. Let's just see what Google says about that. And of course, you know, Google's like, oh, get vaccinated. Vaccines are wildly vital. Get the shot. 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 Does COVID-19 affect the heart? One way COVID-19 can affect the heart is by invading the heart muscle itself, causing inflammation within it, and in severe cases, permanent damage via muscle scarring or muscle cell death. Did they get the shot? That's the correlation they're not allowing here on a Google search. Is there any correlation between getting the shot rather than getting COVID? So if you get the shot and you get heart damage, is it caused by COVID? Because technically, the way a vaccine works is by giving you a lesser form of that ailment you are trying to not catch. The classic sense of a vaccination was you found a weaker form of the same basic thing that was not as nasty, or you took that virus, you killed it, you partially killed it, or you take components of it that is identifiable to the human body saying, oh, that's a virus. You then put that into the vaccination. You put that into the human body. The human body then goes, that's what we need to fight. I now know my enemy. The problem is with the mRNA is you're cheating the way things work. You're trying to make your body go, that's the danger signs. You got to look for that stuff. And the other thing, the body's going, I don't know what the danger signs is. And it goes, oh, I know. I'll tweak and tune and make your body different. So now it recognizes the virus. That's not the way things work in the natural world. In all of our billions of years of from here to where we are currently, that has never existed in the human element in any way, shape, or form. We're monkeys playing with the switches in the rocket area and trying to put something up in an orbit, and we have no clue what we're doing long term. I've always said this about genetic technology. There's a lot of stuff we're monkeying with. We don't know what we're doing. Oh, yeah, well, we know gene therapy and gene technology and all the rest of this fun stuff. Dude, you're turning switches on and playing with stuff that literally you have no idea what happens down the road 20 or 30,000 years down the road when enough people have had that, it's mutated in the various forms from generation to generation to generation where you've inserted something new into the genome. That has never existed previously, ever. Let's see. Scroll. However, the Director General of Health, and that's the reason we've been very open about the case, vaccination drive in New Zealand has gotten off to a slow start with only 21% of the population of 5.1 million people getting both shots of the jab so far. Notice they say the jab. They don't say the shot. The government put the country in a strict lockdown as the first case of current Delta variant occurring on August 17th. New England Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern extended the lockdown in Auckland by 2 weeks on Monday. Ardern announced that 1.7 million residents in Auckland will remain under strict level 4 lockdown for another 14 days to prevent resurgence of the virus. If they got the virus and they're spreading around, 14 days ain't going to make a lick of difference, dude. The level 4 lockdown forbids people from leaving their homes without essential reasons, with all gatherings banned and public facilities, including schools, shut down. Only supermarkets, medical facilities, and petrol stations are allowed to operate. I think they got a really bad case of, following in lockstep to somebody else's bad ideas. See you in a second. I don't know if you guys heard about this one or not, but supposedly Roe v. Wade just got a little bit of, how do I say this while being completely sensitive to those people who are craving abortions? Well, legally in Texas, you just got, and you are not getting
death by snoo-snoo.
Oh, you're getting no snoo-snoo. You're getting
Death by
That's right. You're getting death by wee. No, I'm not saying, go around and, do stupid things and basically get knocked up doing stupid things. And seeing abortion is like, the second tier of, personal protection and, birth control. I mean, you got to do your own thing there. But there's some states that consider things a little bit differently than potentially your state. So Texas now just got a major federal court decision. The Fifth Circuit just canceled the liberal challenge to the heartbeat law. So literally what it is the Texas law that would go down and would ban abortion after a fetal heartbeat is detected. It is set to go into effect on Wednesday after the Fifth Court had canceled a hearing that was supposed to take place Monday. The law not only prohibits abortion if there's a fetal heartbeat, which can be detectable in as early as 6 weeks into pregnancy before many women even know that they're pregnant. Okay, if you've had sex and you think you're knocked up, you might want to get a blood test. It's not that hard. You go to the place and you whiz on a stick. It kind of lets you know. Yeah. But it also allows anyone other than government employees to sue someone who performs, assists, and or pays for an abortion in violation of the law. Planned Parenthood is freaking out, I'm sure, but they scrambled to block Texas's heartbeat law from going into effect this September 1st. Read like tomorrow. But the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals rejected their bid, even canceling the hearing that was supposed to take place today. This means the groundbreaking law will go into effect later this week. The law does not criminalize this practice, but those who break this law are liable for civil penalties or even a fine of $10,000. Several states have previously passed similar heartbeat laws, sparking lawsuits from the radical left. Texas has also signed a law bill that will completely outlaw the practice, depending on how the Supreme Court rules on an upcoming case. Yeah. And then it gets a little snarky about, Democrats going on about, flipping Texas blue and all the rest of that fun stuff. But this is the kind of thing that seems to be happening right now. And I bounce this off people forever. It's like when you have a ruling class that's currently in charge of things, read the Democrat Party, and they're running stuff, and they're hard charging to put their stuff into play and whatnot. Most people take them to court, and when they take them to court, they're nibbling around the edges, and in the process of nibbling around the edges, they're making inroads. They're knocking down these pantheon, hard charging issues of the left wing or the Democrats or what have you, and it's a long row to hoe. Because most times you go to court, it takes forever to get in the court. But the thing about it is like the Heller decision, and there's other multiple decisions coming down the pike. And the worst thing that can be happening right now is for the current administration to be saying, well, we're going to this, that, and the other thing, and we're going to ramrod all this stuff in, and you're going to have to just deal with the after effects. And because as soon as they do something like that, they get challenged. And it's not like they get challenged a little bit. It's like a bunch of people are like, you know what? No, we don't like this is where we're going. We're going to take this to court. We're going to challenge this legally. We're going to take this down because this is just bad juju. Excuse me. So that's what seems to be happening right now is a lot of these inroads that they've done to, really marked socialistic, very, kind of, bouncing it off the lawyers and seeing what sounds the best legally. Those kind of things are kind of getting nibbled around and knocked down by the wayside because they're now getting legally challenged. So who knows where this one's going to go? Personally, I hate this. Oh, it's a woman's right to choose. Like, dude, yeah, it was your right to choose to not be irresponsible, basically raw dog it either. But it's I know obviously all the mechanics they're in. But if you're going to be doing that kind of stuff, potentially you should be maybe just a little bit more responsible rather than just zapping everybody that comes down the pike. Case in point, you basically have these women going, oh, it's like another form of birth control. Dude, no, it's a little bit bigger picture than that, okay? If you're going to be a skank, at least be a responsible skank, okay? Don't be like a skank that basically is like, yeah, I'm a baby machine. Oh, I'll just keep pooping them out. It's no problem. No, don't do that, okay? That makes society suck, and you're basically just totally not on board with, how not to do stuff. Anyway, cat fight. Let's see. Scroll. This one is a very interesting news story that I heard, and I'm gonna make this probably like my next to last. But supposedly, there's now something coming out that the Brady campaign and the Moms Demand, blah blah blah. All those screaming memeites are basically gun-hating, screaming memes. Well, there was a get-together called the Brick by Brick. It was a British Lego-inspired art exhibit that featured quote-unquote handguns assembled out of the multicolored toy bricks, and it was attacked by the gun control network because the public safety risks posed, quote, to the community, end quote, as completely harmless artwork could be accessed by those wishing to use them to enable crime. Okay, I never looked at like Legos, made a gun out of them and said, yep, that's right, I want to be a criminal now. And there's a lot of bad pomp and circumstance on this, zero tolerance crap for firearms, like kids basically like chewing like a Pop-Tart to the shape of like a gun or playing with sticks, going bang, bang, sending them home to the parents going, your kids are being violent and possibly they could be like, socially like scary people now. Ooh. But yeah, some of the stuff coming out is just really, really, really flipping hilarious. But the thing about it is it's been not well shown to say that anybody sees a gun, plays with a toy gun, and suddenly becomes like a rampaging psychotic monster intent upon doing as much social harm as possible. It's been really well stated to show that it's completely in the opposite. Where if you expose children to firearms, they go, okay, this thing is really like something that's not a toy. I got to be really careful around it. Obviously, my parents have coached me in the fact that, well, they're not here. I shouldn't even look at them. I shouldn't even touch them. And when they do come home, we'll go out back. We'll pop off a few rounds. That's pretty much how things are. Okay. I don't know if you guys saw this one or not, but there's a teacher, and I'm using the phrase really, really loosely here. Her name is Kristen Pitzen. Kristen Pitzen. And so she basically pulled down the American flag and put up the rainbow flag for people to do the Pledge of Allegiance to, and said, oh, if you choose not to, that's fine. Just sit down. If you want to say the words, that's fine. If you don't want to say the words, that's fine. I got bad news for you there, Kristen. The American flag is not a gay flag. It's not a straight flag. It's not a black flag. It's not a white flag. It's not anybody but an American flag for all Americans. It doesn't pick and choose those who it tries to put under its auspice of all the rights and liberties accredited to us and accorded to us by our Constitution. It is the American flag. All Americans. Not gay, not straight, not black, not white. Skank. Anyway, so basically she pulled that out, and obviously one of the enterprising kids got some pictures. Why? Because all these kids have phones now. Oh, you stupid cow. Anyway, so she removed the American flag in the classroom, had kids pledge allegiance to the gay flag instead. And currently she's under investigation. Well, if I was one of the teachers under the gun about that, I'd be a little bit worried because potentially you could get drug into court. It could potentially just be so embarrassing to the school district that they go, you know what? It's cheaper to boot you because you have caused us issues. Oh yeah, people are looking blatantly at our socialist agenda. You're kind of really you're making too much attention for us. Okay, we're not like being sneaky anymore. Now you're just making us just bloody damn obvious. So yeah. So she said, okay, during the third period, we have announcements and we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. I always tell my class, stand if you feel like it. Don't stand if you feel like it. Say the words if you want. Don't say the words. But then she took down the American flag because it made her feel, quote unquote, uncomfortable. I took the U.S. flag down during COVID because it made me uncomfortable. In the meantime, I tell this kid, we do have a flag in the class that you can pledge allegiance to. And he's like, looks around and goes, oh, that one? On Friday evening, one of our teachers caused personal social media post that caused alarm and concern related to the saluting of the American flag, the Newport Mesa School District said. Showing respect for our nation's flag is an important value our district instills in our students and is an expectation of our employees. We take this matter seriously and are investigating and addressing it. Translation, she might just let a fire under her ass. Yeah, well, I was going to say a flag under her ass, but she may have just lit a fire under her ass. And I don't think this one's going to work out for her in the slightest. And I think probably she's going to be job hunting really, really, really soon, if not suspended without pay for such a period of time. She goes, you know what? I'm just going to go down the road because I can't be employed here any longer because you guys won't give me the freedom to say and do these things I want. All this stuff used to go by the wayside. However, a kid posted up a TikTok video. Oops. Hey, you screaming Mimiite liberals, you might want to take it to heart. Don't be so blanking obvious anymore. In your jobs, you might want to just keep that stuff to yourself. Your job is to teach children how to be the best kids they can possibly be, not indoctrinate them into your cause celeb of how offended you are by XYZ in your butthurt association of your viewpoints in the world at large. And if you don't like that, I suggest you go job hunting. Anyway, so I'll come up on a 10 o'clock time period, 10:15 actually, but appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. I know the startup was a little strange because I had it all set up, had a picture and everything, thumbnail and everything. I was doing the countdown and whatnot. I'm not going to do that again. I'm simply just going to set it up like, time of blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to do like, the countdown and the reveal and all. I'm not going to do that crap. I'm simply just going to fire it up like the way I've been doing it. And, YouTube switched a couple things around, like me trying to get like a thumbnail picture now. It was easier. They changed the template on stuff for the streaming and what have you, but it is what it is. Okay, so I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. Of course, you got me over on the Gab side. I really haven't been doing a whole hell of a lot. Of course, I'm also on Twitter. Of course, you find me on Facebook, and this video will post up the very next day up on Facebook. So you guys that haven't seen it on YouTube can watch it at your leisure on Facebook. So Dude Jerky 2 on Facebook. 80SPCC on Twitter, gab.com/Dude Jerky 80S. Good stuff like that there. Appreciate you guys' attention. You guys have a good week. Catch you guys next week and catch you then. I think I got a video in a can I want to put up, but right now I think I'm just doing like the Dude After Dark stuff. But I got another video, so I'll post up there. I appreciate you guys' attention. You guys breaking off on this one for me. And you could keep tendering as always. You love it. See you guys. And where's the button? Here's the button.